Legends, welcome to the Gym Boss podcast. I'm Jimmy Halley. I'm your host as always. And today we're doing another role play, which is fun. I had a great time doing the last one. And so this one, we're actually going to go over objections. Because before I went through the script, and today we're going to be going over how to handle objections specifically on the phone. Because if you can handle most of the objections on the phone, then when you see them face to face, if that's your process, when you sign them up, you should be pretty good to go. So if you've ever encountered anything that comes across the lines of, hey, what's the price? Like right at the start of the call. Or I need to get fit before I start at the gym. Or can I come to the gym first without an appointment? Don't have my card on me right now. How much is the program? With all of those, I'm going to be able to cover out how we would handle those and how to best approach those so you can get more appointments booked in and actually close more sales and get more deals as well so you can begin to grow your gym. And you don't have to necessarily be getting more leads. You can just make the most out of what you've got by getting higher conversions, by being able to handle all these things that come up. So before I even dive into any of that, though, this is in the Facebook group. This is in the Facebook group, so if you're watching live, write hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, just comment hashtag replay, just so we can, so we know if you're there and watching. And if you've got any questions, just drop them in the comments below. And if you're on the podcast and you're not in the Facebook group, you should get in here. It's called Double Your Gym Growth Hacks. Simply just go to Facebook, search for it, and you can't miss it. It's got a black and yellow branding. Add yourself to the group, and as a free bonus for being added to the group, you get access to our sales script that we give to you for free. I'll give you a free resource of that. You get access to our how we write ads template, so the perfect ad template, and a client retention playbook. So you get those three freebies as a little gesture saying thanks for joining the group, and so you can come in and get free access to a lot of other materials and resources like that. So with that out of the way, let's dive into it. Let's go into this, and I've got, if you see me looking away, if you're watching this on video and you see me looking away, it's because I've got these written down so I can double check that I don't miss any. So, what's the first one? What's the price right at the start of the call? Ooh, that's a good one. So imagine this. Ring, 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 ring. Hey, it's Jimmy here from 123 Fitness. How you going, mate? And they go, yeah, good. Then you say, hey, look, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions before I book you to come in and meet with us at the gym? And they say, yeah, actually, no, that sounds good. But hey, I've got some questions too. I want to know, how much is it? Okay. How do you handle that? Because if you just start giving them the price straight away, you go, hey, look, mate, it's it's $197 for the 28-day challenge. And that is one approach. Just say in this hypothetical example, we're advertising a 28-day challenge and it's $197. Made up challenge, made up price point, but you get the idea. So what do we do in that scenario? Well, you could just answer it like that. But you don't want to just leave it at that. So here's the way to go about it. You could go, hey, you always want to agree with somebody once they bring up something. So if they bring up a concern or they bring up something, you want to be agreeable. You want to be on the same side as them. You don't want to be like defensive and attacking where you're confrontational, because that's just going to get their back up, increase the sales resistance, and then you're going to be ended up ruining the sale and they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth. So the best way to avoid that, first and foremost, agree with them and just say this guy's name is Ben. So I'll be like, Ben, you know what? I agree with you. That's actually a good question, Or you don't have to say I agree with you. You can just say, Ben comes out and says, hey, mate, yeah, I got some questions. How much is it? You say, well, Ben, you know what? That's actually a really good question. And the 28-day challenge, with everything that's all included that I'll go through later, but it's $197 for the whole entire thing. But I'm not entirely, now this is where you change it. Then you go, but I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be the right thing for you just yet. So with that being said, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions just so I can see if this is even going to be the right thing for what you're looking to get out of the challenge? So see that? So you answer it, you give them the price, and now they're like, whatever, and now you've given them the price, but now you put it back onto them saying, but I'm not entirely sure that this is something we can help you with, right? So I need to find out a little bit more, and this is some other things you can say. Let's go back again. Hey, Jimmy, how much is it? Ben, you know what? That's actually a really good question. And the whole 28-day challenge is $197. But I'm not entirely sure if this is even going to be the right thing for you, because I literally just got on the phone with you right now. And I'm not entirely sure that we can even help you with what you're looking to achieve. So, with that being said, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions just so I can find out, a little bit more about you, what you're looking to get out of a program like this, and as I said, just so to see if this is even something that I can help you with. See that? That's a perfect way to handle that. And so you can do it by giving them the price up front, or you can do it without. Hey Jimmy, how much is it? You know what? That's a great question. And to be honest, I don't even know if this program is going to be the right thing for you, or if it's even something, what your goals you're looking to achieve is even something that we can help you with yet. So, with that being said, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions first, just to see if I can, find out a bit more about you, what you're looking to, the goals and stuff you're trying to achieve, just to see if it's even anything that we can help you with. See that? So now I didn't even give them the price. So there's two options there. You can give them the price and then go with that script, or you could go and remove it and just say, hey, look, I'm not even sure if this is anything I can help you with. So that's handled that one. So that's number one. That's kind of like the big one that you might get if your intros and that one might not happen if you're great on the phone. Like that, in my experience, doesn't happen that often. If you have a good intro, if you have a good introduction on the phone and you can get straight to the point, instead of faffing about trying to do, asking them questions about the weather and whatnot, if you can just get straight to the point, you should not really encounter that. But if you do, that's how you handle it. What about this one? Oh, this is a good one. Hey, you know what? You go through everything. You've had a 10, 15 minute phone call with them, or maybe even longer. And then they get to the end and they're like, you know what, Jimmy, this sounds actually really good. But I'm just not, I've got to go get fit first. I think I need to go get fit first before I can join the gym. Now, I'm sure we've all heard that one. Now, this one, you may or may not have your own responses for this, but this is how I would go about it. So, first and foremost, this is a fear. They're fearful about starting. They're really nervous about starting. They've got a bit of anxiety about starting because they're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not good enough. That's kind of basically what they're saying. They're saying, no, I'm not good enough. Or it's a deflection to something else that you might have stuffed up earlier in the call. Let's assume you didn't stuff up anything and they just get to that point there. And so how you want to handle this one is you go to them and say, well, what, Ben, I'll use this guy, Ben. You know what, Ben, that's actually I completely understand where you're coming from. That's what you're saying. So, Ben, you know what, I completely understand where you're coming from. So you want to be on their side. And before we even go any further with this, though, can I ask, do you have doctor's clearance? To ask about, do they have doctor's clearance? You're relatively, medically sound. Like, you don't have, any herniated discs. You don't have, any, lung disease, or you don't have anything, major. Like, if this is just a deflection of, hey, they feel like they just need to get fitter or lose a bit of weight first. Because that's the stuff that you help people with, right? So if you ask, hey, look, do you have any... if you've got medical clearance from your doctor, is there anything that would be medically preventing you from being able to join the gym? And they're like, no, not at all. And you go, okay. So, and that's just say, then you'll go, cool. So what's your plan? You want to ask them, so what's your plan to get fit or to lose the weight before you come here? Just so I'm aware and see if it's anything I can help with. And then they're like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to, do some walking and, start eating a bit better or whatever. And you go, okay. So earlier in the call, you did say that, you've been doing the walking for however long, and it's left you frustrated because it's not producing the results that you're looking for. Can I ask this though? I am curious, if you were to go away and, do the walking on your own and, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the track, you're still in the same spot as where you are now, got the same results that you have now, how would that impact your life? What would that be like? How would, what would that do to you personally with your health and your fitness and, mentally? How would that make you feel? And probe a little bit when they say, oh, it'd be shit. And you go, how so? You want to find out like that. And you go, okay, cool. And then once you get a probe a couple of times, how so? Tell me more. Why is this? Sort of thing. You don't want to ask, how does that make you feel? Like, don't ask that. You kind of want to get to that without saying it like that. Then, once you've probed a little bit, once you've future paced them, right, on like the negative consequences of staying the same, basically, then you could go, okay, so time for a change, possibly. That's a nice little line to put in there. So then they might be like, oh, yeah, well, you're right, because you're saying I'm going to go back to do the things that had never worked. And so now you're asking, time for a change, possibly. Then they might say, well, oh, yeah. And then this is where you can like go into then securing the booking. Let's just say you're trying to book them to come in and see you in the gym. Not take a credit card, just simply secure the appointment. So then you go, well, Ben, typically from here, the next steps are to book in a one-on-one visit with Dave. He's the head coach, and he's actually the gym owner as well. And Dave is actually going to be able to take you through. It's a one-on-one assessment, so we'll be able to see a little bit about where you're at, find out deeper more about your lifestyle goals, your health and fitness goals, any dietary requirements. And he's going to be able to take you through a process where he's going to be able to determine what's going to be the best course of action for you personally based off where you're at. And so do you feel like, we could book you in tomorrow for an appointment? Do you feel like that would be appropriate? Or, what would you like to do from here? How would you like to proceed? Because now you're not forcing it on them. You're just saying, hey, look, this is what the next steps are after you sort of said time for a change. Then you say, this is what typically would happen next. And then you ask, would it be appropriate for us to book you in to come and meet with him? How would you like to proceed? That's a pretty good way to go about it. In my opinion, that's worked really well, especially if there's no major medical problems. If they've got medical issues, you have to get clearance. Make that super clear. You can't, like, if someone's got some sort of, disease, whatever, blood pressure, whatever it may be, they need to get doctor's clearance before they do anything. And as you guys already know that, you're probably already well aware of that. So what's next? Can I just come to the gym first without an appointment? Oof, they're just like, hey, look, I just want to swing by and check it out. So what you want to do is, like, you want to get some sort of commitment from them. You don't want to just have them like leave and just be on their own volition to be able to just show up willy-nilly. So what you would say is like, you know what, Ben, I think this is, I totally understand where you're coming from. However, we're a small boutique private studio. And so what I would hate for happen to you, mate, is for you to rock up and all of our coaches and all of our trainers are busy. And they'll be with their clients, and then you wouldn't be seen to. And I don't want you to have it, I don't want that to happen to you. So you're sitting there waiting around. So, but with that being said, what times available do you have to say come in, tomorrow? That's an easy one. Because you want to make sure that, like, hey, we want to make sure we're not putting you out. You want to put it in their favor. Hey, make sure this is good for you. Because I hate for you to have that experience. So I'd love for you to get the time and attention that you deserve. So with that being said, when can you, what time were you thinking of coming by anyways? Would it be after work, before work, or whatever? And then you can sort of like find out what's going on. And then they can go, okay, cool, yeah, that makes sense. 99% of the time people will go, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So what's another one that comes up? Hey, I don't have my card on me right now. So this is one where it's like, you get to the end of the call and you're like, cool, like let's just say it's the 28-day challenge for $197. And then you go through everything and they're like, yeah, you know what? I think it sounds fantastic. I want to do that. Hey, you know what? I just don't have my card on me. And the best thing to do is just go, yeah, no worries. No worries, Ben. I get it. I'm more than happy. I can just wait here while you go grab it, mate. No problem. That's a pretty good one. Because you're just sitting there and then they're like, oh, and then they might squirm and they go, oh. And then if they like, sometimes they might go get it in that case, right? But really they're throwing up an objection here. So then you want to go back. If they're like, oh, you know what? No, it's in the car, it's out in the street and it's like a 5-minute walk away and I'm in the office and I can't get out and blah, 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 blah. If they start like throwing up all these sort of objections, you can go, okay, cool, no worries. So I can send you a payment link if you'd prefer that, or I can give you a call back when you finish work. What do you think would be appropriate for you, or do you think we should just leave it? Because you want to find out, like, hey, am I wasting my time here with you? So you want to be like, cool. Do you want a call back? Do you want me to send you the link where you can do it online, which is not preferred, definitely not preferred in my opinion. But you can even just go, hey, do you want me to give you a call back, or do you want me to just leave it and I can not bother you? Because if you start sounding like a desperado trying to chase people, they'll put up all this resistance. But if you say, hey, look, would you prefer me to give you a call back, or should we just leave it and I just not bother you? Because then they might be like, oh, no, you're not bothering me. Like, it'll have the opposite effect. You'll be more magnetic and attractive to them. And they'll want to go, this is opposite to what most salespeople do. Most salespeople try and push for the sale. So that's what I would do there. Because if they're already throwing up sort of things like that, that's my kind of go-to. There's plenty of other ways to do it. But that's kind of, without diving too deep into more stuff, I can probably approach that one a couple of ways, but that'd be one way I would approach that one. And then if people get to the end and they're like, maybe you're not signing them up over the phone, but maybe you're booking them to come in to see you in the gym. Then let's imagine that, and it's a 28-day challenge. The same example we're saying, it's $197. And they get to the end and they're like, hey, do you want to know a little bit more about the program? And they're like, yeah, of course. So you fill them in, just give them the 30-second spiel. You're like, hey, this is what we're all about. This is who we help. This is what we do. And this is what the program entails is, this, and this. Give them 3 or 4 key things that, training, nutrition, and accountability are kind of the go-tos, right? And then you could say, the program, maybe there's a couple of options. So you give them the cheapest option. So you just say, look, the program starts at $147. But it depends on you and how many times you want to attend with your lifestyle and with dietary stuff and what level of accountability you want. So but based off that, that's the stuff that so and so in the gym will be able to help you with when they catch up with you. And then you move on to the next part, and then you'd be like, cool. So the next part from here was typically where we invite you in for a free trial session, or invite you in to come and meet with us in the gym, where so-and-so, maybe say gym owners Dave, he's going to be able to go over everything in further detail to help customize a program for you. Do you feel like that would be appropriate for us to book you in to come and meet with him tomorrow, or how would you like to proceed? Similar thing to one of the ones we said earlier. But you've answered it, and then you move on to the next part of what you're trying to do. So you answer it, and then you give them hey, look, but it depends on a certain thing. So you go, it starts here, but it depends on, how much training, what type of training you want to do, what type of diet, and what level of accountability. They're kind of the 3 things, right? Then you push through to the next part, which is hey, so, this is what would be the next steps, is to go in here and do X, Y, and Z. Would you feel like that's appropriate if we went ahead and did that for you today? How would you like to proceed? That's kind of the nice ways to say it. And they're kind of the main ones that I've got here in terms of objections that I've written down for this one. And I can do plenty more. So if you have any questions that you have, or any objections that you have come up on your calls that I didn't go through today, because there's plenty more. They're just a couple that I jotted down before jumping on here that I thought would be some of the main ones. But if you're experiencing some over and over and over again, let me know. Jump in the Facebook group, which is Double Your Gym Growth Hacks. You can see our black, yellow branding at the time of this recording. We may change it depending on when you're listening to this. But if you're in the Facebook group, just drop a comment below. What is the comment? What is the objection you're getting? And if you're on the podcast or anywhere else, let us know, and then I'll be more than happy to do a part 2 of this where I can answer it on how we best approach that with our call center and with the training that we do. So that's been fun. I've loved this different format where we do live role plays. So if you've got a lot out of this and you want more and you're not in the Facebook group, come and join us. And if you are in the Facebook group, awesome. You're here. You're going to be getting more of this stuff. Until next time, legends, this is Jimmy. Peace.